Hi everybody, Jean here from True Love Quilts for You. This is the tutorial for my tote bags that I had given you a sneak preview. I have just finished editing the movies, and these are my tote bags which you had seen. These were my prototypes. I had was messing about. This one was the first one I made, this purple one, with I think it's half or Cafe Facet Fabrics. I don't know, that guy who does all these bright fabrics. These are both his lines. All we need are charm squares, 12 charm squares, and a bit of fabric for the bottom and some lining. Fabulous stuff. I've given you all of the instructions on these two tutorials. They're quite long, but I really did try to make it so you make them nice. Altogether, it took me about 2.5 hours to make one. Not really hard at all, and I'm sure you can do it also. I've used, for my totes, I've used pre-purchased handles that I have gotten from my local craft store with a button here. They're hard lined, they're stiff, they have a lining on the bottom, they have feet that I've put on the bottom, all things you can get from craft stores for purse making or a purse making website. I've used the handles, the button. Again, they're fully lined and they have a hard bottom, which I will show you. These are my prototypes. This is the actual bag that I'm going to be showing you that I've made on my tutorial for the next two videos, part 1 and part 2. I've used my pre-purchased fake leather handles, my button, for my closure, again, fully lined with a pocket. They all have pockets, and I did show you in my last video. This is an iPhone 6 Plus, I believe, and it fits right inside, very neatly, inside my pocket. All of the pockets the size that I've made. So again, fully lined, a hard bottom, which I've shown you how to do, the feet to protect them. So it was a fun tutorial to do and to make. As I said, I've tried to be as concise as Jean possibly can. It didn't take me 25 hours. It only took me about an hour and a half to drive it, which I think is pretty good, because I'm thinking, like, if you were in my sewing room, which I would like you all to be in my sewing room, and we could just sit and have a cup of tea and chat. It would take like an hour and a half for me to show you how to do this. So I like freak out when I'm watching like YouTube tutorials and I see like a quilt made in 4 minutes. I'm a pretty good quilter. I can't make a quilt in 4 minutes. Yeah, do this, do that, do that, do this, sew this. And I'm thinking, so I don't apologize for being long-winded, because people, hopefully you're learning actually how to do that seam, which as a beginner, I learned how to sew in 7th grade. And funny story, I learned how to sew in 7th grade in home ec, and I hated my home ec teacher. Seriously, and she didn't like me. It's funny, there was like this mutual dislike. Having said that, she realized that I wanted to learn how to sew, and I realized she was a good teacher. So we sort of put that unspoken difference aside, and she taught me everything I know. So Miss Davis in Upper Moreland High School, I apologize if I was a jerk, and I'm sure she's probably dead. I wonder if she's, yeah, I'm old, so she's probably dead. But, you know, that's terrible. But anyway, she taught me everything I know about sewing. So hopefully I'm teaching you guys something. Yeah, so this is the little tote we're making. Hold your phone. It's a sturdy tote. It's almost a handbag. You'll be real pleased. I've shown you everything how to do it. This is the introduction to part 1. And I'm going to go back and introduce part 2 also. So then the videos will be more concise. So I do hope you enjoy it, folks. Please. Oh, as I said, I have a Facebook page, True Love Quilts for You. If you make something that I've shown you on my True Love Quilts for You, I'm Jean True Love, but my True Love Quilts for You, by all means, post it on my Facebook page. Send it to me. I would love to see the things that you've made, and that we can share together. So if you've made your little tote, after you follow the instructions, I think you can. It wasn't hard. They're not hard. There's just step step by step, which hopefully that you'll have seen that I explain. So anyway, thanks again for watching and tuning in. I really appreciate it. Have fun making these. Bye. These are the things you're going to need for our tote bag. I'm going to try to rush through this. Not rush through it, but not try to waffle on as I do, because it's going to be a fairly long tutorial. You're going to be needing 12 5-inch squares, charm squares. This bag, as you have seen, is more of the country look. Each bit of fabric you choose will end up a really different look. And this is called country. Actually, this, believe it or not, $4.99. I got it at, I believe, a store around here called Tuesday Morning. Cheap, 40 of them, inexpensive, very good. So you're going to need 12 5-inch squares. For the bottom of your bag, you're going to be needing a piece of fabric that's 10 inches by 14 inches. That's for the bottom of the bag. Your lining, you're going to need a piece 14 inches by 28 inches. You're going to be needing, this is a bit odd, but you're going to be needing a fusible stiff interfacing. Okay, this is for the bottom of the bag to make it a little bit stiff. You're going to be needing a piece that's about 3 inches by 14 inches. That's a fusible on one side, as stiff as you can get. Then you're going to be needing this, it just pads the bottom of the bag, a batting strip, 2 inches by 14 inches. You're going to be needing a large button and a piece of elastic. I just took this out of my hair. I just used my piece of elastic because it's black. And then you're going to be needing 2 pieces of your cotton batting, 13 inches square. Cut them 13 inches square, and then when we go to make it, I'll show you, we might have to cut this down a bit. But just to be sure, just cut 2 pieces of batting, 13 inches square. Now, the stiffener, what you're going to have to get, you probably won't have this in your store or your notions. You're going to have to get this stiffener. This is from Pellon. It's called Peltex 71F, single-sided, fusible, ultra firm stabilizer. Okay, this is what this Pellon. There's the fusible side. You're going to be wanting, this is what makes our bag hard and not the soft tote. This you're going to be needing 2 pieces, 12 inches square of your Pellon, or of your firm stabilizer. If you want it this hard, if you want a more cushy tote, you don't have to use it. You don't have to get this stiffer stuff. But I quite like this. At a pinch, you could maybe use I don't know, like a home deck fabric sort of stuck in there. You're not going to see it, and we're going to quilt through it. It's just to make your 2 sides of your bag stiff. So maybe even a couple, I don't know, like a denim or something, but like this stands up. This stands up. So this is really what you want. I beg your pardon about if you're in a different country what you get, but this is what we're using here. You can get this in America. That's 2 12-inch squares. That's about it. Oh, for the handles, I'll be showing you later. I have pre-bought handles, which you've already seen on the bag. But if you want to, I'll be showing you how to be doing fabric handles if that's what the look you want. Fabric handles make it a little bit more of a casual look. I would I haven't made it with the fabric handles. I just cut these with the fabric. This is about 4 inches by the width of fabric. You want 4 handles. I would say about, I don't know, I would say about 30 inches, 4 of them, if you're going to be making your fabric handles. About 3.5, 4 inches wide by about 30 inches long. But I'll be using my pre-made handles. So that's what you need to put these things together. Actually, I have come back and I've shown you what what else we need. I missed just a few things. I have bought these pre-made faux, like a microfiber handle from Joann Fabrics in this country. I believe 2 that you need for this one is 2. You need, oh, actually, I made a mistake. You only need 2 handles. So the fabric, you'd only need 2 of these. Yeah, I messed that up. You'd only need 2 pieces if you're going to make handles. Yeah, because I only have 2 handles. So forget making 4 strips of fabric. You need 2 of these handles. These were about $9 at Joann Fabrics. These are the cheapest ones. My actual crystal, or my plastic shiny ones on my pink handbag, they're like $9 a piece. But I used a coupon, so I got half of them off. So if you use pre-purchased handles, I'm going to show you how to put them on there. And then also at a hobby store, purse findings, purse fixings. This goes on the bottom of the bag. These are little brass ones. Actually, I might use silver because no, I think I'll use the brass on the bottom. I think they're about $2.49, something like that, 4 of them. Also, you're going to need, I forgot, you're going to be, I'm going to be doing an inside pocket. I just used scraps. I just actually pulled 2, I'll be showing you how to do the pocket, 2 charm squares and a scrap of fabric just to line it. Oh, this is important. The bottom of my bag has a piece of a very, very stiffener thing. This was an old, as you can see, this was an old mat that we got broken. Makes a really ideal bag bottom thing. I actually make a bit of a sleeve. I'll cut that to size. I'll be showing you. I make a bit of a sleeve, and I'll just insert this stiffener in, and then it just fits right inside the bag to make that nice bottom that your bag's going to sit on. I recommend this. If you don't have an old mat, by all means, like 2 or 3 or 4 pieces of cardboard wrapped in duct tape, just anything that's real stiff, because you're not going to see it. You're just going to literally make a sleeve, and you're going to slot this in, and it can be taken in and out. I don't even sew the one end, so I can just take that if need be. If something gets spilled in the bottom of my bag, I can just take the sleeve off. But I'll show you how I'll be making that. So just whatever this bag, as you can see, this mat has really held me in good stead. I'll probably duct tape this. That was duct taped ages ago. Probably duct tape the whole thing, and then just slot it in my sleeve. So these are the few more bits that you're going to be needing. The first sewing we're going to be doing for our tote bag is we're going to be taking 6 of your charm squares on the back and the front, arrange them in a pleasing manner or just random. I'll probably just pull them random, and just sew the 6 together. 1 row of 3, stitch along there, and then come back and stitch that one onto there. The same that way. The same that way, and then stitch that row to that row. You're going to do that twice, so we're going to end up with 6 pieces of our front of the handbag and our back. I'm going to go do that now. So having used 1/4 inch seam, I'm sure I don't have to show you the reality of that, the logistics of that. You can just sew your 6 charm squares together using a 1/4 inch seam, and sew the 3 and the 3 and the row. I've sewn my front and my back, or whatever, however it is. And when you do that, when you sew your 3 charm squares together, you're going to get a piece that's 14 inches wide. Oh, excuse me, I'm eating my Tootsie Roll. And here's my bottom of my bag, this brown that I've used. It's 14 inches wide. But before we stitch that on, what we're going to do, oh, excuse me, we're going to take our, I'll put my lolly down. Oh, jeez. We're going to take our piece of 10 by 14 inch piece of square fabric, and we're just going to finger press it. Okay, just finger press that along there. And then open it up so that the inside is towards you. and that line there is just in the center. This is, I didn't follow a pattern. This is just a little bit of how I experimented. My other 2 bags were prototypes, as I've said. This is just to stiffen the bottom up, and again the piece of card or the piece of whatever that goes in the bottom really stiffens it up. But this adds stiffening without tons of bulk that we have to stitch through. So with that center line there, you're going to take your piece of batting and you're just going to lay that on the center of that you can eyeball it, just lay it on the center. That's about 2-inch piece. Now with your shiny side down, your interfacing, you're going to go and iron that. The only thing it's going to adhere to is this edge here. You're just going to get this edge of this of the interfacing adhering to the bottom of the bag, and that's what we want. So I'm just going to go and press that really, really good down, and the rest of it will adhere to the batting itself. But we just want to get that 1/4 inch there, along there on either side. So just you want to iron that real good. I've ironed my batting and my interfacing right down to the dead center of my bottom of my bag, and it's just become a little bit stiffer, which is what we want. Now we want to put on, if you're going to be using these, I'll show you how I do it real quick. These come from the store like this. They're like a pronged metal thing, and yeah, hold up. They go through like that. So I'll be using the gold ones. I will, actually. It looks nice with the brown. So what you want to do, again, you'll pretty much eyeball it. I just sort of fold this in half. I fold this in half to find the center. Find the center there of the bottom of my bag on that middle, which is right about there. And then literally just eyeballing it. I want 2 here and 2 here. So, I mean, you can use a ruler if you want, but I think I just want 1 there, which is a little Sharpie, 1 there. Just make sure they're the same sort of away from the center piece, center line. That's good. So now, what I'm going to do is from this side, I want to take a sharp, I'm taking a seam ripper, and I'm just, because you're going through batting, you're going through the fabric, you're going through the interface, you just want to sort of go straight down and make a hole on all of them. Just sort of ripping that fabric just slightly. I'll do all of them. Just go straight down, sort of make a hole, like a slot. Not too much, not too much. You don't want to rip the fabric outside the area of your sort of thing now. Now, having done that, you're going to come across here and you're going to find your hole that's been ripped right there. You might have to mess about with it a bit because you have batting and all sorts of stuff in there. You got your hole there. What you're going to do is you're going to clip, squeeze that together, and you're just going to fiddle it. Just going to feel that hole there that's been made. It might take a little bit of ripping, and again, you want to be careful not to make a huge, great big hole. There you go. So then you turn this, you do it like that, turn it over, and then these come from the store. You put the middle bit, the little bar in the middle of this little prong. Hopefully you can see. And then you just push it real nice, and so it's nice and tight. You just push that right down there. It's not going to be, you're not going to feel that. And there you have, that's not going to come out. You have, I'll do all 4 of them. We're going to have our bottom nice and protected from the dirt. I've attached my little brass feet to the bottom of my bag. It just looks a little bit more professional, plus it's practical. So I've just done that fixing them really good. They're not going to come out. And now what I'm going to do, very simply, wherever you want the top of your bag, I think maybe I'll have it on that one. You're just going to go over and you're going to stitch. This will be the top of your bag. You're going to stitch this piece, this set of charm squares to the bottom, and then you're going to come over, figure out where the other top of your bag is, and you're just going to stitch that along there. So you have a piece. You'll have a piece that looks like that. Again, 1/4 inch. This is the top of your bag. This is the bottom of your bag. So I'm just going to go along, right sides together, pretty sides together, and it matches up really nice. And I'm just going to stitch along here and my other piece. We end up with a piece that looks like this. The front or the back of and the bottom of our bag. 1/4 inch seams. All right, now comes a little bit of a tricky part. I told you to cut this batting and the interfacing. So I'm just going to see what my train of thought is. My thought process here is, again, like in pot holders that we've been doing, I don't want a ton of, you can stitch through this, but I don't want a ton of that in my seam. I don't mind the batting in my seam. So I want this piece of 13-inch batting to just sort of, sort of touch that interfacing there, okay, on either side, having smoothed this all out. We are going to be quilting this as such. So there's about 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch there, and it's a little bit big, but that's okay. We'll address that. Now, that just butts right up to the center thing. Now our 12-inch piece, I want to be even with the bottom here. And it's much smaller, as you can see, because I'm not going to get any of that in my seam allowance. So I'm going to put that there, and then I'm going to see where the top of our back, no, it's too big. So what I want you to do is I want you to take off from your 12-inch piece. Each bag is a little bit different. Let's start off. I'm going to just take off a little strip, I guess about 3/4 inch, and then I'll come back. I can't be precise. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, because again, I do not want my heavy stuff in my top seam. Doesn't matter about the batting, but I just want that about there, a good maybe 3/4 inch down from the top, even maybe an inch down from the top. But you're going to just lay that there, and then the same exact thing over here. We're going to lay this here, and again, it needs to be taken off about 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. And then I'll take this over to here and lay that down. You want these sort of edges to match up. That's pretty good. And then, yeah, so that's about 1/2 inch down. Now I'm going to go over to my iron, and this isn't fused to the batting isn't fused, but this interfacing, the stiff stuff, will fuse to my batting, and that'll make a nice. Then we're going to take the whole thing over to the sewing machine, and I will show you. I'm just going to fuse this down and be real careful to pick this whole thing up like that, and then I'm going to show you how I actually quilt it after having ironed it. I've ironed this fusible stiffener to this little package here, and I've been told I have to use pins for you people, but pins actually won't go through this. So I've done this. I've done several of them. You just have to be very careful. The batting isn't attached, but it sort of is stuck to the front. So what you want to do is you just want to take this and flip it on that side right there. This is fine that the batting is there. And all we're going to do is we're going to take this kit and caboodle over to the sewing machine. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stitch this line here to anchor on either side, to anchor that stiffening, and then I'll show you how we actually quilt it. So I've come over to my machine, and you can see that this is nice and flat. It's fixed that way, but what we want to do is we just want to sort of fix this quilting this line here, right in the ditch. Go slowly, right through all the layers. And all that's going to do is hold that interfacing through all the layers, and then we can literally start to quilt it. You just go right off. It's not here, remember? So it's going to be easier on the edges there. I've used a brown thread, and I'm just going to be very careful. And in essence, we're sort of quilting the bottom of our bag now, but just holding that there, just in that stitching line. So now we don't have to worry about that shifting around. Now what we want to do is that's affixed there. Still want to smooth it. You're going to be sort of feeling. It's about like maybe an inch away from these little feet here. You just want to fix that sort of about an inch away. It sort of makes the bottom of the bag. Oh my word! Oh, my machine. Please. Beg your pardon here. There we go. So yeah, I'll just start about there. I'm not right in front of my machine. My camera's in the way. Right about there. And I'll just eyeball it. You can feel it going through all the things. It's just about an inch. Just about an inch away from these feet here. Oops, there's a thread. I'm going to do that on either side, and it's only because I've made a few of these bags that I realize where I'm going to be stitching. And actually, what I'm going to be doing is I'm actually going to go back. I don't want to mess about. I'm going to get my bobbin thread up here. I'm using white bobbin thread. It's okay. I'm going to actually do two right next to each other. About a quarter inch away, I should say. Just do two, and you'll see the finished product, how nice that will look. So the first one, do about an inch away, and then do the one right on the inside of that. And that's nice and affixed there. And then we'll turn it around, and then we'll do the other side, smoothing it all the while. That looks nice there on my camera. So I want to start sort of there. On this outside one. You can feel it going through all of the bits, which we want it to. And then come back on ourselves and do another one. On my camera. Just about a quarter inch away from this outside line here. Now, what we want to do is we want to come along, and from this outside line if you can see, you can eyeball from this outside line that we've just stitched. We're going to go through the middle of the 5-inch square. Can you see that? We're just going to stitch a line right from that outside line all the way up to the top of our handbag here. We're going to pull up the thread. I'm going to start there. Just a little bit of a back stitch. And I'm just going to stitch right through. Just eyeball it right through. We haven't affixed this line yet. We're just going to go right through all the layers. And we're going to continue that right away along the top of our, each side of our bag. So you see what I've done? Is I've just, whoops. So now my next stitch, I will just be in line, completely in line with that charm square, that 5-inch square there. I'll pull my thread up, just start right there. I've eyeballed, maybe over a bit, just over a hair, yeah, about there. I've eyeballed it, just a few tacking stitches, and then I'm just going to come right up on the seam here. And we're quilting our bag, as it were. Right over on that seam. And right off, right off. So I'm going to be doing that on each side of my bag. I'm going to finish up these lines here right through the middle, right on this seam and over there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and I'm going to stitch right along that seam. I've quilted my bag between all of the lines and it's beginning to look like a bag. So I've started there on each line and I've just gone along and stitched all these lines through here. And now, if you want to look, this is what we have on the inside. Look, it actually looks, this whole standing up like a bag. We have the beginnings of a nice little bag. Now, before we can, what we're going to be doing now is, just going to come along here with my rotary cutter. I'm going to just trim off this top batting edge. Remember I said it was a little bit free of that top edge. We don't want to trim off the bit of the charm square. We're just going to trim off the excess batting there to make that a nice crisp line. So we're just going to take this off. We've cut our batting a bit bigger and had to make it fit. So we're just going to take off that bit of batting there. Now what we're going to be doing is, you see we have a good inch or so. This is what we want in order to attach the lining on each side. What we're going to be doing now to construct our bag is we're going to be smoothing this center part here, stretching it out and smoothing it. We're just going to be holding it there in the center so it doesn't pucker. We're going to put the right sides of our fabric at the very top, pulling it this bit here so it doesn't pucker. Those seams match up beautifully. One there, one there, one there, and one there. I'm just going to take it over to my machine and I'm going to stitch it. And I'm going to stitch it about 1/2 inch, not catching the white here, not catching the white on the either side, the firm interfacing, but just catching the batting right alongside that line right there. And you know what I'm going to do? Of course you do. I'm going to go back and I'm going to stitch it again. I'm going to stitch it again to reinforce it. There's a lot of fabric here. You know me. Reinforce, reinforce, reinforce. So these edges match up here. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'm going to just match those edges up and I'm just going to stitch it right along, making sure my fabric is nice and sturdy right in there. It's not puckered on the inside. I'm just going to stitch along there. So here's our little package. I've having stitched my side seams, I've actually gone down that side seam 3 times and really gone down at the corner here. My seams never come out. But what we've done now, and if you can see, I did not catch the interfacing. I have caught the bit of the batting, which is fine because my seam will have a little bit of batting, but it won't have this impossible to stitch. But now what I'm going to do, I've come along and I've just taken off the corners of my each thing, and I'm holding this because I wanted to demonstrate something. It doesn't quite look like a handbag yet. We're not turning it right side out. But what I have done is I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to go right down to this point. I've already done this, and you want to push that seam to one side, and I've already marked it with a Sharpie if you can see. I'm going to be stitching from here over to there, about 1 inch and just slightly over 1 inch down off of this seam, having pushed it. Now if you can see, the point of this seam is right dead center where we want it to be. So this bit of our box, there's our boxed bottom. I haven't done this part yet, but this is our boxed bottom. So what I'm going to do is, if you can see with my Sharpie where I've drawn, I'm going to go and stitch right along that line, and I'm going to do the exact same thing, putting my hand in, coming over to this side, finding that point, and stitching along this box. It has quite a bit of the batting, the iron-on interfacing. It doesn't have this hard stuff, and that's the reason I don't take the hard stuff all the way through to the bottom, because of this big lump here. So I'm just going to do it steady, keep that right in the center, and stitch right along that Sharpie line that I've made, so I have a nice box bottom to my handbag. So I've stitched these boxed corners, and I won't tell a lie, it's very awkward. You're going to have to sort of shove that under your presser foot here and sort of push this aside. Don't worry about it. Your bag will come back to life. We'll even iron the bag, but it is awkward. This corner here is a little bit awkward, and I literally did that about 5 or 6 times to make that nice squared off corner. You see my corner? You see how what we've done with the bottom there. Now what we can do is we can just, because I've stitched and stitched and stitched that, you can cut off that bulk. Just cut that off. Just cut those corners off. And they're nice and back stitched, back stitched, back stitched. And now what we can do is it's going to take some doing. You're going to pull this. You're thinking, oh no, it's going to get all messed up. We're going to go back and iron it, because this is a big thing to turn inside out, and this will be the last time we do that. So just be brave and just push those bottoms out. It's my corner there. You see? The corner's right in the middle of the side seam. And push this end out. It's beginning to look like a bag. There's my corners of my box. There's my bottom of my handbag right there. Now remember, we are going to go and put that the thing in the bag bottom to make it really stiff. But this makes it easier to sew. And if you look at that, there is the beginnings looking of our lovely little bag there. Stands up nice. Yeah, hopefully you can see. Yeah, stands up nice. There's the bottom of it. We're going to go back and I'm going to show you how to make that bottom piece. But what I think I'm going to do right now is I think I'm going to stop this video right here. And I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to stop it here. Okay, folks? I'm going to have a part 1 and a part 2 because it's a bit long. I think this is probably about a half an hour. And so attaching my handles. So that's what I'm going to do. So that's my part 1 of my tote bag. So I hope you tune in. I'll put the part 2 up as soon as I finish it. Okay, thanks, folks.